Hi there, Michael here again, and today we're going to take a closer look together at this, or rather these two beautiful instruments, the Sadowsky design MetroExpress Vintage JJ 21 fret jazz basses. Here we go. So, are these basses beautiful? I really think they are. So what's the story behind it? Are they true Sadowskys or what? You know, in a way they are. I mean, they look amazing, they feel amazing, and they're super lightweight. On their website they state that they should come in at around maximum 4.3 kilograms. And I was totally blown away when I unpacked both of these basses, and they weigh in at 4 kilograms, which is 8.82 pounds. And that's, you know, extremely lightweight, especially for an instrument of this price category. So big thumbs up for that. And the story behind RSD, or Roger Sadowsky design, is a few years ago, Roger Sadowsky himself and Warwick paired up. They joined forces, so to say. So the Metro line basses are made in Germany by Warwick, and they really have a very, very high standard when it comes to quality. Warwick themselves, they have a pretty good track record when it comes to produce affordable instruments. They have the rock bass line, which are produced in China as well. And I don't know if the RSD basses are made in the same factory, but the fact is that these instruments are made to a very, very high standard. You have seen in the pictures I've shown you before that, you know, the woodwork is really without any issues. The neck pocket here is very tight, super nice fit. The bass balances very nicely. Even though it's very lightweight, it has no tendency to neck dive at all, which is outstanding, again, especially for this price point. And then there is the hardware. You know, I really love the quick release bridge, the Sadowsky design quick release bridge. I love the open tuners. They really feel very, very, you know, luxury in a way. Although the adjustment of the neck is really beautiful. You don't need a special Allen key to adjust it. You just go inside one of these holes and then you twist that thing. No need, you know, to go in there from a weird angle. So that's very comfy. Absolutely beautiful. The finish is without any, you know, issues. It's really spot on. And once again, especially for this price point, amazing. Playability was great right out of the box, because I've read that these basses are made in China, but they all go into the factory in Germany where they get the setup and where they are quality controlled. So big thumbs up again for this. Few more facts. The width here on the nut is 47.5 millimeters, which is 1.87 inches, and that's a bit wider than your typical jazz bass. I compared it to my Sire V7 5-string, and that's a bit narrower, and also it's a 12-inch radius of the fingerboard, so that's you know, not as rounded as most jazz basses, again, like the Sire V7 are. So you have more space, and the shape of the neck itself and the fingerboard feels quite modern. So it's amazing for stuff like slap, and you just have a bit more of space, and yeah, it feels very, very good. And the neck itself is pretty, you know, it's not too beefy, it just is, it feels right. It feels like a Sadowsky should feel, right? And the finish of the neck is just a very, very subtle satin finish, which is, to tell you the truth, not exactly what I personally enjoy, because it can be ever so slightly sticky, especially when your hands might be a bit sweaty. So I personally love a bit of more lacquer on the, especially on the backside of the neck. But that's, again, you know, totally personal preference, and it might come from the fact that I grew up as a player using vintage Fender basses, and I know a lot of people who send down the lacquer on the back of these basses because they couldn't stand it, but I personally just, you know, yeah, I like it. I just wanted to mention it. The whole craftsmanship that went into the bass is outstanding, I really have to say. Yeah, and you can feel this right out of the box, just as I mentioned before. The weight is super light, and the whole bass is yeah, resonating very well. Even the low B, you can already hear and feel when you play the bass dry that the woodwork is really outstandingly good. The neck, by the way, is always a maple neck, and it comes in two flavors. And today we're gonna compare these two. For one, you have the Okuma fingerboard right over here, and now I'm holding the one with the maple fingerboard. Yeah, and for the electronics and pickups, these are Roger Sadowsky design single coil pickups. So these hum when you use them by themselves. But I've read and seen a few YouTube reviews of the first releases of these basses where these pickups hummed quite heftily, and they don't anymore. I can tell you that you do have your typical single coil hum if you use the neck pickup or the back pickup by itself, but it's really nothing to write home about. It gets a bit more pronounced if you crank up the EQ, but that's just normal, you know. So for the control plate here, you have volume, the pickup selector, and that's a bit strange or a bit weird, or let's say a bit different than I'm used to, because if you turn the pot to the back, you activate the neck pickup and vice versa. But they write about that in the manual that comes with every bass, and they also say that you can rewire it. You need to do a bit of solder work, or you can have your dealer make it for you. So, you know, it's a matter of 5 minutes if you prefer the other way around. But they especially mention it in the manual. It's a nice fact, by the way, that the bass comes with a manual, so it tells you all the setup and how it's done. And then you have the two ports for the boost-only Sadowsky preamp, which is bass and treble. And the bass potentiometer can be pulled, so it's push-pull potty, and it deactivates the electronics. So in that setting here, the bass is totally passive. The potties themselves feel very, very nice. Once again, luxury, something you would expect from Sadowsky, but not necessarily at that price point. With this setup, you don't get passive tone blend. And that's something I personally really miss, because I like to play my basses passive. And even if I play them active, it's still nice to have a passive tone control with which you can, you know, just turn down the treble a bit, because let's face it, this is a very hi-fi sounding bass with a lot of sizzly highs, And sometimes during a gig or during a song, during a ballad, for instance, you want to tone down the treble just a notch. And you can't do that with this bass. I mean, you can alter your plucking technique. Something I really, like doing, because yeah, you should be able to get your sound or the sound you hear in your head with your fingers in the first place. But then again, passive tone blend, passive tone control would be really, really nice. The normal Sadowsky Vintage preamp does offer that feature. So maybe it would be a nice upgrade aftermarket to equip this bass with the Sadowsky Vintage preamp. But other than that, there's no hum. There's no excessive noise. I mean, sure, if you boost the treble all the way, because these pots go a long way, you can boost the treble and the bass really dramatically. But even if you boost the treble to a very high level, there's no disturbing noise or something like that. So to sum it up, the woodwork is, very, very good. There are no dead spots on the fretboard. It just plays very, very nicely out of the box. It feels very good. The hardware is up to a very high standard. The electronics sound Sadowsky-like, very, very nice, high-end, boutique-like. Just a beautiful chest bass sound, but with that modern kick. The hardware is really good. I mean, this bridge is massive. It is a joy to use, to restring. There is no string through body option, but then again, I normally personally don't use it, and so I wouldn't miss it with these basses. The tuners are really, really top notch. And then you have the adjust a knot feature here, which I've known for a longer period of time on the Warwick basses, and it's very, very nice to find that here on the Sadowsky basses as well. So with an Allen wrench, you can adjust the height of the knot just a bit to give you best playability and to avoid any rattling noises if you use or if you're playing on the first frets here. So feels beautiful, fit and finish is beautiful, look and feel is absolutely beautiful, and most importantly, the sound is, it's Sadowsky-like, it's modern, it's killer. I really think there's not a whole lot you could dislike about these basses. So without any further ado, let's jump right into an extensive part of playing examples. And I would like to mention two things. First of all, please use good speakers or best headphones to hear the bass in the mix and by itself. And once again, I really think brutal bang for the buck, really beautiful instruments, and they're sounding killer. They're sounding Sadowsky. So here we go. Thanks a lot for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel because it really helps me and the channel a lot. Bye bye. See you next time.